Hi everyone, and welcome to the second episode of our Futures Group podcast.
We are joined today by Laura, who is the Supervising Social Worker for Fostering Options and Deputy Manager. We'll be discussing if there is such thing as a typical foster carer and the difference between local agencies and the local authority.
Hello.
Hello.
Thank you for taking some time to speak to us today.
Could you start by telling us a bit about yourself and your role here at Fostering Options?
I'm Laura and I'm a Supervising Social Worker and Deputy Manager at Fostering Options. I'm based in Milton Keynes, in the Milton Keynes office. I currently supervise a number of families across our region. I was promoted to Deputy Manager about 2 years ago, not long before the pandemic. And as part of that, I organise and do some of the planning around the training for foster carers, foster carer support, our children's groups and family days. I've been at Fostering Options for about 12 years now. Prior to working here as a social worker, I worked across youth justice, adult mental health services, and I was child protection social worker for a few years as well.
So for those who don't follow us or haven't heard about our agency before, could you tell us a bit about who Fostering Options is?
So Fostering Options has got an office base in Milton Keynes. We also work all across the Midlands. We've got more mobile social workers or remote social workers that work across the Midlands area. We're a smaller agency with a kind of personal feel. Most of the staff have been with the agency for a number of years now. And this means that we're really able to get to know a lot of the foster carers really well, and they are familiar with people even that don't supervise them. We've got an established foster care team, but we're part of the Futures Group. So we're part of bigger companies as well.
For those who don't know much about fostering, is there a difference between agencies like us and the local authority, do you think?
I think there is a difference. Initially, obviously, we're a lot smaller and a lot more kind of personal. As I said, it's not a big team of people. It's quite one-to-one. We do know people. So that is quite a big difference. We've got a solid and established staff team. There isn't much staff turnover. You're likely to have the same social workers working with you for a long time, which can be different to a local authority. Our social workers tend to have a lot smaller caseloads than happens in local authorities. That means we have a lot more time for our families. We have more time for working with families and seeing children. Because we can spend more time with them, we do tend to know our families quite well, and that plays a part in matching children and families because of that knowledge. So I think that's an advantage as well. It's not that there's a commissioning or placements team, it is our social workers that make decisions on which children best fit with the families that we have available.
So the world of foster care can be quite confusing, especially for people who are researching into becoming foster carers. And often we see a lot of fostering myths discussed, which are kind of discussed as facts. Or we receive messages from people who believe they can't foster, maybe because they're not married or they don't own their own home, or because they're a part of the LGBTQ plus community. Is there such a thing as a typical foster carer?
No, not at all. We've got all different families that foster. From an agency perspective, it's great to have a diverse range of families available. Not all children will match with all types of family makeup. Therefore, this gives us the best chance to kind of match children that will meet lots of different families. We have some children that are better placed with single carers, if that's one of the myths that is around. And we have some children that enjoy being part of a busier household. As long as the person is keen to meet the needs of the children, have a spare room for the child and have the potential to care for a vulnerable child, then an assessment for anybody to foster could be considered.
That's brilliant.
So what do you think makes a good foster carer and what skills do they bring to their role?
I think in terms of what makes a good foster carer is someone who's flexible. They can think on their feet. They're open to looking at life differently at times. They've got a willingness to learn new ideas and approaches, as that's necessary often when you're dealing with traumatised children. They're a good advocate. They're clear at speaking up for the children and themselves. They've got good communication skills and the ability to work with a range of professionals. Foster carers are required to work with all professionals that are involved with the children, and at times birth families and any potential other permanent families that children may move to afterwards. The one thing that I think is really important is a good sense of humour for foster carers.
That's what I was going to say.
Yeah, and being calm in a crisis, I think, is essential. Just being able to kind of absorb what comes next and just be calm and manage it in a sort of relaxed and humorous way, I think has probably been one of the most well-used skills that foster carers will need.
Yeah, whenever I meet any of our foster carers, one thing they all say is, oh, you need a good sense of humour.
Yeah, no, I think you do need a good sense of humour. And almost to be unshockable, almost.
Yeah. Great. So the theme this year for Foster Care Fortnight is fostering communities, which looks into ways to celebrate the strength and resilience of fostering communities and all they do to ensure children are cared for and supported to thrive. Could you tell us a bit more about how our foster carers support their young people?
So it's quite diverse, really. I mean, really, foster carers are expected to pretty much meet or advocate on behalf of all of the needs of the children that they have in their care. And they meet those needs in really diverse ways. Families often work really hard to ensure that the children have a safe space to live for their time with the family. And that, I think, is the most important need that all of our families seek to secure, really. There is an emphasis on meeting children's health needs. And this is making sure that all the appointments are attended, any concerns are raised around health. Foster carers support children in education. They get children to school, they attend education meetings, help out with homework, sometimes take part in the odd sports day race. The biggest support our carers provide is emotional support to the children, and that is mostly through listening and advocating for the child and giving the child a safe space in the world, really, and just helping them to understand their experiences and giving them nurture. We support foster carers by regular individual supervisions with experienced and well-trained social workers. We facilitate group peer supervisions because no one knows fostering like other carers. We provide training to carers on a range of subjects that support their fostering practice. And at weekends and overnight, we have a social worker on call, so support is always available to foster carers should anything arise. Social workers in fostering options support children and young people directly by having visits. We will go out and visit them alone, sometimes in the family. Sometimes we actually take children out. We get to know the children over the period of them being placed with families. And we ask children for a lot of their feedback through our work. They have an opportunity to talk about their experience of where they currently live. They're given a voice through children's groups and activities, and they have an idea about the processes and they know how to complain or raise any issues if necessary.
Brilliant. What would you say to someone that's considering fostering, but they're not sure if it's right for them?
Speak to a social worker, have a chat, see really what fostering is all about. Have a look at all the materials that we can provide for you, and we've got lots of different resources we can recommend. However, it's always good to ask. We're really open. Come and ask us for the information. We're happy to share it and then make the decision based on what it's really like.
Brilliant. Thank you. I think that's it.
Thank you, Laura, for speaking with us. That was really interesting. We appreciate your time.
Thank you. Have a lovely weekend.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you so much for listening. And if you would like to find out more about becoming a foster carer, head over to our website to receive your free information pack. Thanks. Till next time. Bye.